our knowledge and, and watching as the world changed. The last part of your question is very interesting. What role can Rotary play in shaping ethical leadership globally? So the first question I would ask everyone in the room is, who is Rotary?
We.
We are Rotary. So every single Rotary club and district and zone in the world has an opportunity to address that issue, just like we did as an organization back in 1932, and you mentioned this, when Herbert Taylor had a very struggling business. It was facing bankruptcy, and he designed the four-way test. And it became so popular, it did save his business. It was an aluminum distribution company. It became so popular that Rotary adopted it as a way for us to follow through with our professions, Rotarians who come into our organizations. And it's not just meant for professions and business, it's meant for personal activity as well. But it's a very strong part of how we approach business today. The four-way test is a brilliant set of 4 sentences. But very often, I will ask Rotarians, do you live it or do you recite it? Because there is a very big difference. So for those Rotarians who understand and believe in the ethical power of the four-way test, we really do create magic around the world. So every Rotary club has an opportunity, or every Rotary district has an opportunity to think about how we can address professions where we are located. I live in the United States, in Western Pennsylvania, and I'm one of the places in the world where we do something called the World Affairs Council, where we bring young people together to talk about issues in leadership and issues in handling themselves ethically. So there are ways for all of us to think about how our Rotary entity, whether it's our club, our district, or our zone, can approach ethical leadership, ethical business, and provide those kinds of experiences.
Thank you, Madam President. Now I would like to explore a little bit for the power of the Rotaries network. With over than 1.2 million Rotarians worldwide, being one of the biggest professional networks in the world, in our planet, how we can activize this network in connecting more people in peer-to-peer business, in mentorship and innovation, not only within the districts, but worldwide, within the Rotary family.
Well, first, we should recognize that business networking started with Rotary. Rotary was the original BNI, because there were people who came to Rotary and were not necessarily attracted to service, although that's generally what keeps people here. They weren't necessarily attracted to fellowship, but that becomes an important part of who we are. But they did look and they said, look at all these business people. I have a business, they have a business, I bet I could do networking here. Well, of course, absolutely. And so it is the original business networking opportunity. And I find it charming in a way that as I meet Rotarians around the world and I listen to the family of Rotary, I find out how many people do business in their own club. And I'm one of them. The person who sells me insurance is in my club. The person who cuts my hair is in my club. Now, you might not think she does a good job, but she is in my club. My dentist is in my club. And so we use the power of the friendships and the fellowship that we make in our own clubs, because we know that when someone wears this pin, it means something. It means that they have the high ethical standards that we want, and we want to do business with people who are just like us. So that is just a foundation of what we do. In terms of how we can start to connect people more globally, we have some ways to do that through showcase and Rotary Center, some ways like that. And I heard you mentioned earlier, wouldn't it be lovely if we could have an international directory? It would be. However, I'm very honest, Rotary is a dues-driven organization, and for 20 years, we have lost members. That means we have lost operational funds. So the ability to add new, wonderful things is really curtailed until we start to grow our membership. Now, that is not your problem here. You have done a wonderful job in this region. I'm very happy with Rotary here, but there are parts of the world that have not paid attention to membership. So as a result, the amount of funds that we have available to do creative things isn't where it needs to be yet. All right? I'm optimistic. I think many of you know that I had an opportunity to lead Rotary's strategic planning process. And one of the things that allowed me to do was to do all the research about where we are as an organization, where are we good, where are we not so good. And I tell you right now, in 24, 25, we are positioned to move into that thriving future. There is an excitement. There are many governors in the room, and I am so proud of you because you are leading your districts in a way that I have not seen. I've been in Rotary for 34 years. I have not seen this kind of energy. I have not seen this kind of business relationship. And so I'm very proud of what's happening here, and I hope that that will be contagious, and it's a brilliant idea, and I would love to see it happen. I will tell you that during the pandemic, there were some zones who did some things for professional development and business growth. My own zone, which is in, of course, the United States, designed a mentorship program because as COVID hit, there were many people who lost their jobs or who lost hours or had to change. And so we created a mentorship program in the zone, paired zone 33 and 34, so that any Rotarian who had a profession, who wanted to connect with people seeking advice, guidance, referrals for jobs, was able to do that electronically, virtually. And we called it Rotary Works, simple. And for the length of the pandemic, we were able to make those connections and help people. And people, would comment and say, without that mentorship, without being able to talk to that person, I don't think I would have ever considered going in that direction. So there are some things that we can do locally to help move this whole idea of professional development and business growth forward.
Thank you, Madam President. Now we all know that Rotary vested a lot of energy and compassion into the subject of leadership. Mm-hmm. And as you all know, we have leadership learnings, we have leadership institutes, we have Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, and so on and so forth. But a lot of people keep asking me, why all these investments and promotion of leadership learning within Rotary? How it helps its own members?
Well, there are a couple of answers to that question. The first one is that, we have a very interesting leadership model in Rotary. Every July 1st, every governor, every club president, every Rotary International president steps down. Now, think about your own business, your own industry, your own education. What would happen if the CEO or you, if you are the president, what would happen to your business if you step down? So for Rotary, it is important for us to help build leadership components, which include the whole concept of continuity, so that we can make sure that we continue. And we have. We are 120 years old. So that model is good because it brings in fresh ideas. It's not so good because it makes it difficult for those districts and those clubs that do not follow continuity, because then you have movement this way one year, then that way the next year, and then over here, and that doesn't help us as an organization. But in general, our model is strong. very strong.